Hey everyone, Asilik here, back with another carry class video. So today's matchup is going to be Jax versus Garen, which I know is a very frustrating matchup for Jax. This game is in Gold MMR, and it will go over what you can do to beat Garen in lane and how you can carry low elo. So right now I just leashed, and this Garen has taken Ignite while I have taken TP. So a good thing to know is that you can use your TP as your advantage to gain more health over Garen. So if you trade with him and then you both are low and then you TP back, then you'll have lane priority over Garen. Here, even though he has his Q, I beat him with autos because my passive was ramped up and I had full Conquer stacks, so I'll just completely beat him there. I hit level 2 first, and I jump on him, and I stun before he gets out of my E range, and now he's like 120 HP. I have full lane priority, and what I want to do now is just slow push the wave. I messed up a little bit in CSing, and this wave position isn't great. So what I should have done here was to either last hit more or fully shove in the wave earlier, because now it's frozen by outside of his tower. I'm thinking about diving him here just because he's low on 300 HP and he still hasn't hit level 3 yet, so he has his Q and E. So his W won't be able to tank anything because it's not up. My mistake here was that I didn't E his Q and I couldn't Q out, so I almost actually died. If I tanked another tower shot, I might have actually died. And here's where the problem is. Evelyn ganks. I should have warded earlier, and I didn't dodge her charm, but Garen ignites, so I flash out to make sure he can't flash. And use your corrupting pot because it still heals you a little bit with Time Warp Tonic. That's the only reason why I lived that gank. Even though this was kind of bad, I lose my flash. Garen has to shove in that wave or else I can freeze on him. And because I have HP advantage with TP, and I also got a longsword, I just beat him in lane, so he has to back. Now if Garen doesn't back, I just straight up kill him. But I still have to watch out for Evelyn. Since she's not 6 though, I can still walk up and see her with my ward in river. You always want to block Garen's E or Q with your E, and now I just set out of tower range until my Q's up, and I stack my W on my Q. A lot of Jax players never stack their W on their Q, but if you're going for high burst and you know you can kill them with your W on your Q, then you might as well do that, because if you Q first and try to auto after, they might be able to somehow dodge it, and it's just more risky. Now Garen is dead, and this wave is... I see Evelyn on my map, and I want to shove in this wave. So I pop my corruption pot here, and I walk into the bush so she walks through all my minions. I want her to tank as much damage as possible. And I know she has no flash, so it's just another free kill. Wave is good for me because it's shoved under tower. Garen has vision of that bush, so I just walk out, and this lane's pretty good. Even though my CSing wasn't great, I'm already up 2-0, and their jungler is really far behind, and so is Garen. Garen doesn't have a single item yet, and I'm already going to have Vampiric Scepter and another longsword. So now I just walk back to lane. Here you can just look around the map and just look at where your teammates are, where everyone else is. I don't know why Malphite's clearing Krugs, but it doesn't really matter that much. You just can 1v9 the game. So in terms of their team comp, they have a lot of AP with Heimer and Evelyn. So because I'm ahead of Garen, I don't really feel the need to buy Tabbies. I would rather buy Mercs. And they also have a lot of burst. They have Heimer, they have Evelyn, they also have Janna, who can peel, and Xayah, who I can just block my autos with. So I'm not really that worried about Xayah or Garen. It's mostly just Janna, Evelyn, and Heimer. So I'm going to try and itemize against that after I get my Bork. Bork is fairly good versus Garen, especially when I'm ahead, because I just do so much damage and I can out-sustain him in lane. When you're behind, I would probably go Triforce over Bork, because even if you have Bork, if he's ahead of you, he can full combo you with just his E and tank your stun with his W, and then get some autos in with Ignite and R, and you'll probably die because you're behind. If you're even, I would still go Bork, but if you're behind, Triforce is probably better. I hit 6 here, so I know I can just... Alright. Garen's not level 6 yet, and I'm way higher level, so I can just zone him from getting to wave. And you block his Q again, and he just can't do anything. And now, like, his game's just over. He can't do anything. I wasn't worried about Evelyn either because I can just 2v1 that. My R just gives me so many stats this early into the game. I would probably have like 100 MR and 100 armor with my R. So I go for another plate. I could have just backed here, but I think I was trying to go for a Bork and maybe kill Garen again. At this point, Evelyn can't even gank me to try and 2v1 me with Garen. Just because they just don't have enough damage, and Evelyn's probably still not 6 yet. So after Bork, I would go Mercs or Triforce. Black Cleaver could also be good if you just need the stats, because Black Cleaver makes you more tanky than Triforce, plus it's 733 gold cheaper. So Black Cleaver is not a bad item. Common problem I run into is having mana issues if I do go Black Cleaver. So I usually go Triforce anyways. I go Ruby Crystal just to make sure I don't get bursted down by Evelyn, because she should be nearing 6 already. And now if you look at top wave, it's slow pushing into me. So all I have to do versus Garen now is just freeze. And he can never walk up. If he walks up, I just Bilge Water Cutlass him, and he's just slowed forever. Always make sure to use it after he Qs, or else he just uses his Q and just cancels the movement speed slow. In team fights though, if you don't have Sterix, I probably would not frontline, because if you look at their team, even if I'm ahead, Bork and Triforce makes me super squishy, so I just can't do anything versus them if I just jump in and try and stun and kill someone. Heimer will just stun me, and then Evelyn will just burst me down. So even when you're ahead, you can't like just play like you can 1v9 unless their team comp allows you to. Their team comp here is kind of annoying for you, and you need to make sure that you don't die. So right now I'm just freezing versus Garen, and when a lot of people hear freezing, they just stand behind their wave and they last hit, and they don't zone XP off from the enemy. What I'm doing here is standing near his casters to make sure Garen just cannot even soak XP. Like, he's not getting any XP from cannon or minions. And this is very important, because if you can zone XP, like, XP is really, really valuable. So here, I'm just walking up, because if he walks up, then I'll just jump on him. And he's not allowed to get XP. I slowed him after he Q'd, and now I know I can just tower dive him. Pop R, and then can't do anything. At this point, you can just continue freezing, but because I'm so far ahead of him, I kind of want to get more map impact. So I want to get first tower as fast as I can. If your team's doing fine, you don't need to force anything like aggressive that could potentially lose you the game. But because Diana got killed, Balin got killed, and Malphite's pretty useless, I want to make sure that I shove in that wave, get a good back, and then once I do get Bork, then I'm probably just going to tower dive him. Right now, Evelyn's bot side, and most of his jungle is cleared, so I'm assuming Evelyn will be walking top side after she backs. Now, Evelyn kills Diana here, so if I do see her starting to back... Oh, wow, she actually... Let's see if she dies. But anyways, Evelyn still oh, she does die. So Evelyn doesn't really have anything else to take on the bot side half of the map, so in about a minute she should be near top side, or potentially ganking me. Garen uses his W. In this matchup, you have to pay attention to Garen's W. He's not using his W very well, but what you can do in this matchup is if you Q onto him and he Ws early, you just back off and you just wait until he has... Oh, yeah. Well, I just tower dive Garen here. But anyways, what I was saying was, if he uses his W is a longer cooldown than your stun. So you just wait for your stun to come up the second round, and then you jump on him. And you just out-damage him. Because if you dodge his Q, then his only damage is E. And your E also blocks 25% of his E damage. So Garen should almost never win that trade if he doesn't have his W up. So the most important thing to play around is Garen's W. His Q is quite annoying, but if you have ramped up passive stacks plus Conquer, you still win. You don't have to like be scared of him. Most Garens should take E level 1 But if they do take Q, then you just have lane prio because like they just don't do damage. You can chunk him for half his HP if he takes Q level 1. Now at this point, I'm probably going to buy Mercs plus Phage. And that should make me quite tanky, but if you look at my health, it's still not that high. So I really... Let's see. Yep, and a dagger. So I have like 1450 health, which is not that high. So I'm probably gonna not try and frontline everything. I'm gonna look for picks around the map. So right now I'm walking mid because I see Garen and Heimer. And if they do... Oh, so Evelyn shows up mid, so I TP. Because this TP is good because if your teammate gets 2 for 1, she also gets a lot of assists, which helps her a lot. And also I can just shove in mid and get the tower plate. And because Heimer and Evelyn are dead, this also helps your bot lane because they know they can't get ganked. And I know I can just tower dive Garen, so I get a lot of tower plates for free. You want to be proactive with your TP because that thing can really save your team. And it also just snowballs you really hard. Like, Garen wants to walk mid, but he knows he can't because I'll just tower dive him. You just pop R and you just soak so much damage. At this point, I'm going to probably look for Herald. I don't need Diana to come over. She pings on my way, but she doesn't need to. She can just push out mid. And what I would do with this Herald is either look for a gank bot and win that bot side area and then push 2 towers with it. Or I can just be greedy, go for top lane, or I can shove mid and get mid tower. So Garen's pushing up, and I'm probably going to walk tops after this because I want to collect that wave. And my next key item would just be Triforce, and then after that I would probably either build Wit's End just to get more MR, and then probably Asterix after that if it goes to that point. So yeah, Garen just can't do anything at this point. He's so squishy. Evelyn's bot side, so because I know they're all bot and I don't have TP, I'm going to drop Herald. I can definitely get this first tower and then get a push in for the third tower and get a charge off because Garen's coming up. But if his team doesn't back in time, I can just get that charge and then clear Evelyn's top side. Always clear enemy jungle's camps. If you have towers like this, like shove in the wave and then go clear her camps. But make sure you know where they are, or you know that you can 2v1 the top and jungle. Because if you can't, then you might just throw a big lead. And if you look right now, like Garen's level 8 and he has 37 CS at 14 minutes. He just can't do anything. So I see someone ward. I was hoping that if I warded over, I could be able to just find them and jump. So Zaya's pushing up mid lane, or top lane. But I'm not going to jump on her because if I waste my jump and Evelyn comes, they might be able to burst me. Especially since I don't know where Janna is or Garen. I only see Heimer on the map. They should be rotating towards drag, so I shove top out. So Zaya's not there, but I still don't know where Evelyn and Garen are. I don't think I can 3v1 at this point, and even if I could, it's still risky, so I'm just not going to take the risk. I see Garen bot, and I still back here because I know I can buy Triforce, which is pretty big, and then we can just team fight at Ocean if my team can stall long enough. So Vel'Koz and Ashe are just watching Drake, and so I'm walking down mid, but if they start it, then I will instantly start walking towards Drake. Fortunate. Oh, wow. Vel'Koz had a nice flash there. So now I know Evelyn doesn't have R, which is pretty good. I see most of their team walking over, so I don't want to play too aggro. I screwed that up by wasting my flash, or not my flash, my stun. A lot of times when you team fight like this versus comps that have like a decent amount of CC, you don't want to use your stun just to engage because if you don't one-shot them, then you're just very vulnerable, especially if you're maxing E, because your QCD is still fairly long and you just get blown up after because I don't have enough MR or armor to just fully soak their team. So now Evelyn's dead, so I walk towards her top side. There's no point in chasing Garen, or he could die. I want to stun Janna here, but she slows me, so I just go for Garen. Here, I don't win versus Evelyn. So I just flash after she flashes, and then her jungle camps are coming up, so after shoving that wave, I'm going to clear everything, and then clear her jungle. The ward that I just placed is fairly good, because you can look for a Heimer rotation, you can look at when mid roams top, or when top roams mid. And at this point, like, I'm just drawing so much pressure top, like, I don't need to fight. If you look at the map, Malphite's getting towers, mid's fine, and my team just gets a lot for free because no one is defending them. They're all just trying to kill me top, but they can't. As long as you don't die, then it's just perfect for your team. Here, I'm going for Death's Dance because the burst isn't that high. I probably would have went Sterix here instead. I'm not Sterix probably would have been better because then I can just fully jump in without having to care about their burst. Once you get to your 4th item, you're much tankier, so you can actually jump in with your E. Here I TP because I know I can just get a shit ton of kills. I probably should have targeted Janna. It wasn't really worth for the Xayah, because I didn't know if she had R or not, so it was just kind of a waste, and I don't really get much out of it. Don't know what Evelyn's doing here, but I think she can just in. So at this point, like, sure, I'm 10-0, and it kind of feels like it's getting hard to get kills around the map, but what I would do here is you just keep farming up, make sure you get your item power spikes, and when it gets to the point where you have to team fight for Baron, then you can really show, like, or you can just shit on everyone. Sterix is your big power spike versus their team comp. A lot of team comps with high CC, Sterix is very good. Not only that, you could maybe just go for an early GA if you're this fed, because you don't want to give away your shutdown. Stopwatch is also nice, because you can jump in, get your full combo, stopwatch, and then get out, or you can keep going. So at this point, it's a 4v5 essentially, because Garen really doesn't matter. He has like half an item. Don't know what I'm trying here. It's just because there's no objectives right now, and it's getting really hard to just get fights versus their team comp, because I can't just jump in whenever. So I just keep farming, and I just have to wait for either Baron or Soul. So even though you're like super far ahead, you don't want to throw your lead like this. Heimer and Evelyn are both top. Actually, there's 4 top sides. So after this wave, I kind of want to back off. Herald's coming up again, so we can just go for that. Garen's just kind of a free kill, because if I pop R here and I kill them, like, it's fine. If I went over the wall for Heimer, if Heimer stunned me and got like triple turrets and his R off, then I probably would have died. So as long as you stay away from Heimer for a decent amount of distance, then you should be fine. I get Death Dance, and I would probably start building towards Sterix now. And once you get Sterix, like, they can't do anything. It's over. So a few takeaways from this video is just like, make sure you don't die to early ganks. Even if you do, don't get tilted. Like, there's a lot you can do, especially versus Garen. If you have TP advantage, you can always use that health advantage from backing and item advantage to potentially kill him. This Garen didn't go Nimbus Cloak, so it's even better. And then once you do get to mid game, know what you have to do. Like this game, I can't 1v9 until I get my power spikes, so I'm just farming until then. And all you have to do is to make sure that your team does not fall so far behind or allow them to just feed your enemy. So I'm just making sure that I'm there to make sure that my team doesn't die. And then once I do get my power spike, then we just push for ending. So here I'm just farming. I have 10 CS per minute. Drake's coming up. And so I'm setting up... Oh, wow, the F. But what you would have done was set up around Drake. And then try to get a pick from the back line, because you can press R and tank it. And then after that, then you can look for Herald, and then there's also Baron. So if you look, like, I'm up, what? I'm 4 times Garen's gold, and it's just 1v9, you know? Anyways, I hope you guys learned a lot from this video. If you guys have any matchups that you want to know, let me know. It's kind of hard finding them, but if there's any requests, I'll be happy to take them. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.